Listen, I want to be South Africa's best mangaka. Maybe create my own anime one day. To do that, I have to make my characters come alive. Which means I have to learn to do that from the best. With help from Comic-Con Africa, today I do just that. My name's Wally, and this is
In this episode of Anime Manga Otaku,
I have a huge tinfoil hat theory, and that is that
Digimon, digital monsters, the Tamagotchi that could. Digimon, mistakenly a ripoff of a large property with a similar name, is anything but. Following only one trope, monster and child partnering. The series takes on an arguably darker, more mature tone to world building and character development through interpersonal and extrapersonal relationships. The monsters acting more as companions and partners to the child, as they both equally take on the responsibility of serving both the human and digital world from ultimate destruction. On this episode, Digimon superfan and YouTuber and provider of all those things digital breaks down the appeal of the franchise and how he made a success out of talking about those not so little all the time monsters on the internet. Karn EX. Exploding in the last year to 20,000 subscribers, Karn found fame first through discussing Fox Kids properties like Power Rangers, before, at least at the moment, exclusively talking about Digimon. Always engaging, Karn provides a unique voice to unknown material even some mega fans of the franchise love listening to. And I get to talk to him. Hey Karn!
hey, what's up? How's it going?
So Karn, let's just jump into it. Are you covering Digimon because you're like a super expert or something?
No. I think there are people who know a lot more and have put a lot more time in than me, but I think the part I enjoy the most is finding out stuff. So I'm probably more of like a good researcher, but how much of that I retain, like just randomly, I don't know. But for videos, I do like to put in sort of legitimate research and check lots of different sources and stuff, but I don't think I'm an expert at all. I think there are other people more qualified than me.
So why do you think you exploded in the last year as a YouTuber?
I think part of it is just luck, because like I say, this first video that did well with Digimon, it didn't do anything for months and then suddenly got picked up by whatever algorithm was trending. But I think also I got a lot of comments from people telling me that it's that I deliberately enunciate properly, so I'm like sort of over pronouncing things, so it's more clear. Like I've got people who are hard of hearing who find it easy to lip read my videos. That might be a factor. I feel like a lot of Digimon content out there, and it's absolutely amazing, but it's quite insular. It's like, if you already know a lot about this specific VPET, you're going to watch this specific video because they're the person with the best information. But how appealing is that to the amount of comments I get from people that are like, oh, I watched Digimon 20 years ago. Why am I watching this? I watched the whole thing. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is it the presentation style or something?
So it's been nearly 20 years since Digimon has been as popular as it is now. What do you think is behind the recent resurgence?
I think there has been a realization that nostalgia is huge, and I think the reason nostalgia is huge is just in general we've entered this like nostalgia culture. But I think also like you can look at other nostalgic franchises, Pokemon, Tamagotchi, a bunch of other things that have, particularly during COVID, when people have a lot of money that they're not spending on going out and eating or going to the cinema or anything. Suddenly it's like, well, I can spend my money on these things that used to bring me joy when I was 10. And I think Digimon accidentally ramped up new ideas like the card game and the reboot of Digimon Adventure. Completely, obviously, with no idea a pandemic would happen, but because the pandemic hit, I think it kind of like combined people wanting to revert to childhood with the fact that there was an adult Digimon product and stuff coming out that was for them, I guess.
As popular as the franchise is becoming recently, a lot of fans are really happy with the reboot or really unhappy with the reboot. As sort of a Digimon influencer, if I can use that word, what are your thoughts on the new series?
I'm not sure what people want from a reboot, and I'm always happier for things to get rebooted now than I am for things to get sequels, because to me, I'm like a huge fan of canon and lore, and you know, if a sequel comes out, whether you like Digimon Tri or not, I personally found Digimon Tri kind of missed the mark. That if you don't like that thing, retroactively kind of taints the good stuff you did like. I'm sure there's people that feel that way about 02 too.
I definitely think your videos have a presentational force that many YouTubers, myself included, strive to achieve. How do you gain that confidence to make your journey a success?
It looks like I've gone on more of like a comfortable journey than I actually have. It's just that I was more sort of, especially last year, quite sort of depressed and stuff, so I was very low energy on camera. But I did my first play when I was 13. I did acting all through high school. Went to National Theatre, and I wasn't a skinny kid, so you get used to a lot of people looking at you like that. And then like I've always done, like since I had a video camera, I've done video content. So I had a really old mini DV camera that had a remote that you could record and unrecord with. I used to set it up. I didn't have a tripod, so I used to put it on my desk, and I used to try and do like my own special effects. So like I go like, "Hey guys," and then I press the record thing and then jump out of frame and make it look like I disappeared. And that was like, that was, I don't know, 10 years old. And none of those exist, thankfully, because they probably are very cringe. And so it's stuff like that and like cast commentaries and stuff that really like helped me get an idea of how you talk to people without, or how you talk to a camera or a microphone and without feeling that awkwardness that you're actually just talking to devices. And I just like imagine a person is just there in front of me rather than a device.
So Karn, what made you jump into such a niche anime topic like Digimon? And why is it so appealing to you as a content creator to talk about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's some soul searching stuff. Digimon has a lot of depth, and whether that's like story depth or interesting things, like the stuff that I love to cover is like, like I say, interesting evolution or facts you might not know about Digimon. And I think that's what makes it so appealing for me as a content creator, is that it has like an immense amount of nostalgia, but there's also stuff that I never saw because it was like Japan exclusive, or it came over here when I was a kid. Or like I don't even know if Frontier ever actually aired in the UK. So like I came to that as an adult. I think Digimon just has so much going for it, and like the different media appeals to different people in different ways that it sticks out. And I think also because it deliberately does lore. So yeah, I think it's just that Digimon has stuck around, is kind of a little bit of the underdog as well. I think that's an appeal to me. It's like, no, I can talk about this thing that some people think is like a rip-off, which it isn't, first of all. And yeah, that little kid who was like defend Digimon on the playground and loved it, and like fell in love with Digimon 02 specifically. I think it's nice to just kind of like share that back out again. All the love that like Digimon, all the things that Digimon gave me as a kid, I can kind of put back out into the world.
Are there any standout moments or arcs in the Digimon series that sort of represents this depth that you speak of?
Also, I think it gets kind of like a bad rap as kind of being like the emo arc of 02, but I think there's a lot of good stuff between like Blackwell Greymon, Arukenimon, Mummymon, and then like Taizagumon and stuff. I think some of that is both like the fights, but then also the quiet moments. And I think that's kind of what I always appreciate about Digimon, and it happens in Adventure and 02. It happens in the entirety of the franchise. So yeah, I think any time that characters are not just clashing physically, but also kind of mentally, I think is like where I like Digimon the most.
So the Digimon card game has also recently been gaining some hype, with fans outside of the franchise also interested in it. What's your take on it?
I think for me, the biggest selling factor about the Digimon card game is the way the memory system works. So basically, I'll explain it as if everyone is dumb or doesn't know. Each of you have 10 memory. And I describe it as like a wizard duel. So you know how like a wizard will cast a spell and the other one will cast a spell and it will meet in the middle, and you're constantly going back and forth along this timeline. And I think that's what's so fascinating about it, is that every move you make is giving your opponent more moves to play on their turn. And so I think it's very simple, and like the first set, obviously it's like added more rules and stuff, but I think the biggest selling factor for me is beautiful art of Digimon. Like every card is unique, and then on top of that, the way that the sort of like the main objective of the game is you have a stack of 5 security cards, and you're trying to take down your opponents. And I like that feeling of like, rather than life points or whatever, it's like your opponent physically has like a little base, and you're like physically attacking that base. I think it's a good time to get into the card game, even if you don't really like Digimon that much. It's just a really fun card game.
So here's a kind of a strange one. What do you know about the next Digimon MMO, Digimon Super Rumble? Because the announcement came out of nowhere.
It's an interesting one. It's not something I saw coming. They're doing Digimon Super Rumble, which is kind of its own thing, and it is sort of based on adventure. Like there's the Adventure 8 Digimon, and it looks to be kind of more, I don't know, like kind of traditional kind of RPG battle focused rather than the more top-down clicky of DMO. But then they've also announced that they're remastering Digimon Masters to be on Unreal Engine 4.
2 final questions left that I want to ask you, Karn. I guess the first question is, which I probably should have asked earlier, who are your favorite Digimon?
Well, behind me there's Bluecomon, Fanbeamon, and Wormmon, and they all come in and out. But I think I always fall to Wormmon. Obviously because of his significance in Adventure Zero 2, and as a character, and then growing with Ken and stuff, and how cool. I think Wormmon is like this little like kind of gross almost bug, but kind of cute too, who becomes this hella strong Stingmon, and eventually becomes an integral part of like the biggest Digivolution in the series. And I've always kind of liked that from nothing to something thing. But then also outside of Zero 2, his like other Digivolutions like Dino Beamon, Gran Kuagamon, his like other random appearances in video games and stuff. I think he's sort of like the mascot for Bug Digimon, and I have a weird affinity for Bug Digimon. But Fanbeamon and Bluecomon are definitely hot on his tail. It's definitely the power scale shifts every now and then, especially when cool new stuff happens. I'm like, oh well, Bluecomon's kinda.
I guess the final question would be, Karn, will Digimon Survive ever come out?
I have a huge tinfoil hat theory, and that is that Digimon Survive was supposed to release on November 19th, 2021. And then Pokemon Company announced that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are releasing on November 19th, 2021. And I think that is why there has not been communication. It's because they are scrambling right now to find a different release window that isn't going to compete with Pokemon or any other big brand or their own brands. So I'm hoping like December or October or maybe November this year. But I just would like a tweet that's just like, hey, it's still happening. Sorry, things have gone wrong. Pandemic sucks, am I right? Hashtag YOLO.
I guess that's it. Karn, this was amazing. I had so much fun talking to you about Digimon. I'm actually looking forward and really hyped to seeing what you have next and what Digimon has next in the future.
Thanks, man. It's fun.
See you, Karn.
Welcome everyone to another Anime Top 10 by Comic-Con Africa. I'm Jordan,
Joined by Robbie.
as we jump on into our list of top 10 Digimon animated series and movies. Let's get digital! Number 10, Digimon Universe, App Monsters. Everyone in the world uses smartphone apps, but inside them lurks unknown creatures called Apply Monsters, or aptly named Appmon. Appmon are AI life forms with the ability to think and act and exist in the boundary between the human world and the digital space. In the vast sea of the internet, the last boss AI Leviathan takes control of the Appmon with a virus and begins hacking every system, thus starting to control the human world from the world of the net. Haru Shinkai is led to acquire the Apply Drive and uses it to materialize Gatchmon, a search monster. Being one of the latest iterations of the Digimon franchise, this series explores the modern world of applications and their effect on society and our lives. This modern take on the Digimon franchise is really amazing as it explores some cool topics, and that's why we've decided to download Applimon in at our number 10 spot.
Number 9. Digimon X-Ross Wars. Digimon X-Ross Wars features Taiki Kuro, a soccer-loving middle schooler who always goes out of his way to help people in need. When out with his friends Akari Hinamoto and Zenjiro Tsurugi one day, he hears a voice calling out for help. Investigating the situation, he meets a Digimon named Shoutmon, who has been severely wounded in a nearby alley. Using the power of a strange device called an X-Loader, Taiki manages to save Shoutmon's life, but is pulled into the digital world alongside Akari and Zenjiro. The digital world is in a state of war, with the evil Bugger army attempting to collect fragments of the Code Crown. Whoever manages to collect all 108 fragments will become the king of the digital world. Determined not to let the evil Bugger have their way, Taiki and his friends join with Shoutmon and the other local Digimons to form their own army, known as X-Ross Heart. Now X-Ross Heart must fight their way across the digital world to collect Code Crown fragments and defeat the Bugger army. But Taiki and his friends are not the only humans caught up in this war of monsters. Absolute hype and action around every corner, Digimon X-Ross Wars is an interesting take on the franchise, giving a more Power Rangers-esque vibe to Digivolutions, fusing Digimon together rather than evolving them on their own. This is a series about friendship, war, and conflict, and is definitely not to be missed. And it's for that reason X-Ross Wars has crossed on into our number 9 spot.
Number 8. Digimon Data Squad. Upon meeting for the first time, undefeated Street Fighter Marcus Damon and renegade Digimon Agumon become friends in the most natural way possible for the knuckle-headed duo, by fighting their hearts out. The self-proclaimed Ultimate Team are recruited by a secret government organization called the Digimon Data Squad, or DATS, who had witnessed an unbelievable human fighting blow for blow with a Digimon. Their primary objective is investigating mysterious problems caused by Digimon entering the real world, and the world is currently in crisis with Digimon appearing at an unprecedented rate. Embarking on various missions with DATS, Marcus and Agumon become colleagues with adolescent genius Thomas H. Nornstein and his Digimon partner Gaomon, along with the kind-hearted Yoshino Fujita and her Digimon partner Lalomon. As the group continues to investigate the rapid increase of Digimon in their world, a darker truth begins to surface, and it's up to Marcus, Agumon, and their friends to get to the bottom of things. Epic head-to-head battles coupled with a more mature and darker setting for the Digimon franchise, this generation of digi-destined are not to be messed with. This series is full of action-packed moments, daring fights, and heartwarming moments, and with one of the more banger openings, it's not one to be missed. And that's why Data Squad has found itself striking into our number 8 spot.
Number 7. Digimon Adventure 2. Taichi Yagami and his friends have moved on to junior high, but by that time, they have lost contact with their Digimon partners. Taichi is therefore surprised to suddenly receive a distress call, summoning him to the digital world. Once there, he learns that Digimon are living in fear of the mysterious Digimon Emperor, who is somehow suppressing their ability to digivolve. In the real world, Hikaru Yagami and Takeru Takeshi reunite in the same 5th grade class. They share 3 schoolmates: Daisuke Motomiya, who reminds them of both a bit of Taichi, Miyako Inoue, a technical wizard on the computer, and Iori Hida, Miyako's neighbor. When these 3 children receive D3 Digivices, they, along with Hikari and Takeru, who still possess their original Digivices, comprise the new generation of digi-destined, who must save the world once again. With the power of the armored Digi-Eggs, they must thwart the Digimon Emperor's plans to spread his influence over the entire digital world. A new series with a whole new gimmick. Digimon Adventure 2's take on digivolving is one of the coolest we've seen. Armored up and ready for battle, this series has all the charm of the original, but doesn't need too much to feel like its own series. Digimon Adventure 2 is a throwback to the roots of Digimon, and if you haven't seen it yet, we highly recommend you do. And it's for that reason we have Armored Up Adventure 2 as our number 7 champion.
Number 6. Digimon Adventure Tri. The gate to the digital world has been closed for 3 years. Taichi Yagami and his friends have since moved on, and now that he is in his second year of high school, it's time for him to grow up. While everyone else knows that what they want to do with their lives, Taichi remains unsure. Meanwhile, the group drifts further apart as they follow their own paths. One day, a rogue insectoid Digimon called Kawagamon materializes and disrupts electronics all over the city. Taichi recklessly chases after it and ends up cornered by the attacking Digimon. Suddenly, the Digivice that he still carries glows and Agumon appears. The two are able to defeat Kawagamon. But why did the Digimon cross over to this world in the first place? What is happening in the Digi world? And how exactly does this involve Maiko Mochizuki, the new transfer student in Taichi's class? Once again, our Series 1 protagonists take center stage in a love letter to the Digimon fandom. After years of not being around, the beautiful people over at Toei Animation gifted us with a modern tale of the original digi-destined. Bringing everyone to the modern age, this series focuses on what it's like to be a high school student, figuring out life, themselves, and what they want to do in future, coupled with the ever-present action and mayhem of the digital world. Try is a collection of 6 movies that are definitely not to be missed if you love following the stories of the original Digi-Destined. An homage to the fans and a fantastic story. That's why Try has found itself with a brave heart in our number 6 spot.
Number 5. Digimon the Movie. Digimon the Movie is a 2000 American film adaptation of the first 3 Japanese films distributed by 20th Century Fox. The film uses footage from the films Digimon Adventure 1999, Our War Game 2000, and Digimon Hurricane Touchdown / Supreme Evolution The Golden Digimentals 2000. In comparison to the original films, Digimon the Movie had a significant degree of editing, with more than 40 minutes of scenes from the individual Japanese versions cut out to save time, and several plot changes. But don't let that stop you from enjoying the epic ride that is this collection of movies. From the tale of Taichi and his little sister Hikari's first encounter with Digimon, to the dark story of Diaboromon. And of course, we can't forget the tale of our first American Digi-Destined, Willis. Each movie in this collection have their own charms, and definitely should be checked out individually. But if you're like us and just want to have a wild ride one after the other, the English collection that is Digimon the Movie will keep you glued to your seats waiting to see what happens next. It's a wild ride with our monster friends, and that's why the Digimon Movie clocks in at number 5.
Number 4. Digimon Frontier. With 5 new kids and an exciting new mission in the digital world, Digimon Frontier brings back all the great action and adventure of the last 3 generations. Takuya, Koichi, Izumi, Junpei, and Tomoki meet each other in a train that takes them to the digital world, where a war against evil is being fought. The angel Digimon, Cherubimon, one of the 3 angels sent to save the world from the power-hungry Lucemon, has turned to the dark side, and the entire digital world is in peril. To fight this great battle, the 5 Digi-Destined must find the legendary spirits which allow them, that's right, the Digi-Destined themselves, to digivolve into Digimon to fight for the digital world. Another fresh and exciting take on the signature concept that is Digivolution, this series focuses heavily on its main cast instead of having to split focus between cast and their Digimon. It's definitely a more formulaic series, but the back-to-back action makes it all worth the while, and the legendary spirits are a concept not to be missed out on. It's this epic execution that has placed Frontier in the number 4 spot.
Number 3. Digimon Tamers. Digimon Tamers takes place in a world where the popular Digimon franchise is all the rage, consisting of a cartoon, video games, and the trading card game. Takato Matsuda is a huge Digimon fan that is particularly obsessed with the card game and constantly daydreams about the universe they're in. One day, he finds a mysterious blue card which he slides through a scanner toy to use in the popular battle game. His toy suddenly glows and transforms into a Digivice, and Takato's fan-made design Gaomon materializes in front of him. Thrilled by the prospect of having a real-life Digimon, Takato embraces his new partner, and his adventures as a Digimon tamer begin. Takato quickly discovers, though, that being a Digimon tamer is not all fun and games. In reality, it's much more dangerous than the card games he's accustomed to. Wild Digimon have begun to appear across Japan, causing rampages that result in chaos and mayhem. Armed with his Digivice, which can scan trading cards to strengthen Gaomon, Takato and his new partner set out to combat the rogue Digimon. They are tasked with protecting the world from Digimon attacks, whilst a mysterious organization determined to eliminate all Digimon and their tamers lurks in the shadows. Being the darkest addition to the Digimon franchise, Tamers is one of the most popular Digimon series in the entirety of the franchise. Dealing with dark subject matter such as depression, anxiety, death, and loss, this series captivated its fans with thrilling story arcs and relatable character personalities. It's dark and gritty, taking a more serious tone to the franchise, and for this reason, Tamers has been modified as our number 3 spot.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are champions. Number 2, Digimon Adventure. When a group of 7 children go to summer camp, the last thing they expect is snow falling in July. In the confusion that follows this phenomenon, they each receive an odd device that transports them into another world. As soon as they wake up in this new world, they encounter strange creatures who call themselves Digimon. The Digimon tell them that they have landed in the digital world, far from home. With only the Digimon and the Digivices as protection, the 7 children set off to find their way home and learn the reason why they were brought here. Led by the impulsive Taichi Yagami and his hungry Digimon partner Agumon, this group will have to fight unknown evils as they discover more about this outlandish digital world. You had to know we would put the OG of the digital franchise high up on this list, and honestly, they deserve it. They say nothing beats the original, but even though we placed Adventure at number 2, that still holds true. The original series started it all, set up a world we would come to love even years later, and will continue to love many years after. So even though we placed Adventure here on the list, they will always change into our digital champions, and that's why we gave Adventure our number 2 spot.
Honorable mention, Digimon Adventure 2020. In the year 2020, technology is everywhere. Every digital device around the world is connected by a singular network where data travels. Unbeknownst to humans, this network has become home to life forms known as Digimon. 5th grader Taichi Yagami is preparing for summer camp when strange occurrences begin in Tokyo. Certain electrical systems have started going haywire. When he discovers that his sister and mother are trapped on an unstoppable train, he rushes to the nearby station. Suddenly, Taichi is transported to another world where he meets a strange creature by the name of Agumon, who somehow already knows his name. Taichi also receives a strange device called a Digivice, which allows him to communicate with the undigitized world. Taichi discovers he is in the network, and virus-like Digimon are attacking the areas that maintain Tokyo's electrical systems. It is up to Taichi and his new partner Agumon to stop these cyber attacks before the whole world is threatened by the actions of mischievous Digimon. Rebooting the franchise at zero and taking the story in a whole new direction, Digimon Adventure 2020 is the latest iteration of the digi-destined, and shows that the franchise isn't yet ready to let go of our heroes just yet. All in all, the series was an interesting watch, as it changed the story drastically to a new narrative, with no resemblance to the original. But we can't wait to see how they push this new narrative forward. We'll be keeping a close eye on this one, and it's this interest that we thought Digimon Adventure 2020 deserved an honorable mention on this list. Number 1. Digimon Adventure Last Evolution, Kizuna. As the Digi-destined and their partner Digimon live happily together in the human world, Taichi Yagami and Yamato Ishida, alongside their friends, dedicate themselves to maintaining this hard-earned peace. Though united by this innate responsibility, each one has already started to take their first steps toward a future beyond being a Digi-destined. However, this new journey is interrupted by the appearance of Manoa Bellucci, an American professor specializing in Digimon research. She bears news of several chosen children from around the world being found comatose, with their partner Digimon nowhere to be found. Manoa's investigations indicate that a new breed of Digimon is behind the alarming phenomenon, Eosmon, who hides within the internet's depths. To succeed in this mission, the team must endeavor through the growing distance between them and band together one last time. Honestly, we just had to put this movie high up on our list. Yes, the original series holds a special place in our hearts, but being that this movie was the official end to the first generation of digi-destined stories, we had to put it at the highest point on our list. Kizuna is a wild ride for long-term fans of the series. We grew up with these characters season after season. Even when they weren't on screen, they kept growing. And when we did see them, there was always a parental sense of pride at how far they had come from the kids we knew. This movie was everything we wanted, a proper end to the heroes we had come to know. And as emotional as it was to say goodbye, we have a feeling that fans of the franchise will remember this movie for many years to come. And it's this bond to the franchise that has given Kizuna our #1 spot. So, what are we doing tomorrow?
And that's it for our list of top 10 Digimon animated series and movies. Let us know in the comments if you agreed with our list and why. We do this all for the fans, so please show your support by subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to be the first to get access to our awesome content. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to leave us a comment down below, and until next time, stay prodigious.